We recently got to check out the game Atomfall, which is a survival adventure game which has very strong Stalker vibes, except that you're in England instead of Ukraine. And in England, there was something known as the Windscale disaster, which was a nuclear incident. Most people hadn't, or I hadn't heard of it, so I wouldn't be surprised if you haven't heard of it either. But this is basically after that happened, and it wasn't so much contained as it just sort of spread, and now we're trying to survive. Couple things, I did play this over Parsec, which is like I connect remotely to someone's PC. So if you see some like weird issues or delays or lags or like me missing, trust me, it's not my skill. It's just because I was connected to another PC. And we played for about an hour, 45 minutes, 2 hours, something like that. And there was a presentation after and Q&A after as well. But when I jumped in, it was basically, they said it was, I think, 5 or so hours into the game. We had a little bit of equipment. We were just underneath this bridge near a forest where a bunch of druids, quote unquote, just kind of crazy people, were stalking around the area. And every time they saw me, they were basically like, nah, dude, you ain't allowed in here. So I started needing to fight. So basically, you can go wherever you want, right? I did take on the druids early because I wanted to test the combat, and we'll start there. The combat is pretty basic, but it works very well. It's very melee oriented. You can have weapons. I had guns, but they were all rusted. They still work, but it's mostly melee, and that's good because the melee hits are very impactful. I'm hitting people with a cricket bat is great, but I quickly got a mace, like an actual medieval knight mace, and that's what I started using. But above all of that, my favorite thing to do was throw weapons. You can throw your two-handed weapons, you can throw knives, daggers, all that business, but just holding up a weapon, like an axe right above your head and just whipping it out and watching the guy in front of you drop was great. Of course, there's a downside. You throw your weapon and you don't kill the dude, then you lose your weapon. And I did die. I think I died 3 or 4 times, and most of it was just getting overwhelmed by enemies or fall damage. Fall damage is very real. And the other thing is you don't have like a block or a parry or anything. You have a kick. So you can just basically keep distance and then kick, hit type of deal if you don't have any guns and ammo. The guns felt fine. This is from the Sniper Elite team. And again, these were rusted weapons. So I don't know if they were meant to be like this or not, but I was killing everything without any issues. I didn't have any jamming or anything like that. I don't know if maybe I was on easy, but rusted weapons worked just as well as long as I had bullets. And that's where the kicker is. You don't get a lot of ammo. The game is open area and a pretty open world. You can explore a lot. There's caves, there's buildings, there's villages, towers, woods, crashed helicopters. There's all sorts of stuff to see. They did mention that if you dig deep enough, if you go into certain caves, there might even be monstrosities in there. Didn't run into anything like that. I just ran into a giant wicker man in the cave that I think they were going to start on fire, but I had used my Molotov to burn all of the people inside, so I couldn't set it on fire myself. And another thing I like about the exploration and in the world in general is that typically in post-apocalyptic stuff, you get almost like a muddy feel. This was like vibrant woodlands. Like I was out exploring. Even in the town, there was a lot of color, even if the citizens were a little on edge considering everything that was going on. I only did get to see, so I basically went through the forest, saw a little bit of the mining area, went into a cave, and then I went into this big town that was occupied by soldiers. The soldiers were friendly. They let me in, no problem. Well, friendly, quote unquote. They're friendly to me, but the citizens were a little iffy. And then when I was in town, there was this big robot walking around. And basically, I got close to that guy and he was like, yo, back up. I did not try to start a fight with the giant robot in the town with all the soldiers. I'm sure that would have ended poorly. But if you want to, the option's there. I think you'll just die. And while you're exploring, you can actually do a little bit of metal detecting. The game will let you know, like, beep, 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 hey, there's something here to detect, so you don't just have to walk around with your metal detector. But you'll find stuff. It'll typically be loot. It'll be like bullets, bandages, crafting materials, which we should talk about that real quick. There is a crafting system. It's not super in-depth, but it'll be like, hey, you need to make a bandage that'll heal your bleeding. And then you can go into town and you can buy new recipes or find new recipes. Like you can find the Molotov cocktail recipe, or you could find like burn ointment recipe. And that's just a few examples of what I saw, because in my inventory I had various explosives that seemed like I could bake them myself if I had the materials and the recipe, which I didn't have. So exploration is rewarded. The one thing I didn't notice, and I don't know if this is going to be a thing or not, is there was no cash. It was all bartering. So I went to a merchant and I basically, like, I was going to buy some food because it heals you over time and everything. And I was like, where's my money? And it was like, no, you have to basically give him an item of equal value. It's got like a little meter, and then he will be like, okay, that's good enough. And if it's not, you need to add more items. And if you're getting too much, then maybe you need to trade him something else or even get more items from him. It's an actual legitimate bartering system. This just means exploration is even more important because you never know what you're going to find, what you're going to trade, what you're going to need to trade, or you could just run into a monster and it could totally kill you. For their quest system, they have done something a little different. It's called leads. So basically you find like a note, or you talk to someone, or overhear a conversation, and you'll get a lead in your journal. And generally this journal or the lead will kind of lead you to a general area of what's going on. For instance, I had to find this lady that made very powerful potions, and it was like, okay, we have to go over to this general area where the mine is, and she's somewhere in that area. And then once you get closer, you kind of whittle it down, and then eventually you find what you're looking for. I never actually found the woman because I just kept going exploring and finding different things. But I like the system because it's not a waypoint. It's not like A to B. It's like, okay, go to A, and maybe you'll find B here. Maybe you won't, but you're going to have to figure it out. And of course, then you got to journey through the world, which again, more exploration. It all works together. And with these quests and most of the NPCs, you will have choices. Some of them, they're minor, but the game is designed to be replayed, so choices are actually going to have an outcome. They're actually talking about in the Q&A, I mentioned the druids earlier. I actually just thought they were bad guys, but apparently there's like a quest line, a lead that you can follow that will actually make it so the druids are, they'll at least tolerate you. I don't know about friendly, so you could potentially join again, I don't know if they're the bad guys or not, but what I perceived as the bad guys. And I like it when choices actually matter, because I'm playing a game right now where they don't matter, a big AAA game that is, I better not say anything else, but yeah. And I believe I read that the game is roughly 20 to 25 hours. Again, incentivizing that replayability. The most important thing though is when I was done playing, I wanted to play more, and that's always a good thing on the preview. There were a few minor bugs, but these are just general AI open world bugs. Like one of the guys got caught walking on a ledge and just kind of shadow walked there, like whatever. It wasn't really a big deal. Just meant that I could easily sneak up to him and finish him off. So that'll be a thumbs up from me at the very least. I'm looking forward to it. The game does launch on March 27th, so we don't really have that much more time to wait. And I hope you guys all jump in and enjoy it. Also, it's on Game Pass. Later, Gators.